Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I want to be talking about someone you may have heard of and a recent decision, NFL ruling. It's about Tom Brady and the fact that the ruling for the 4 game suspension has been upheld. As many of you may know, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts regarding this. Now, I think what's happening is with Tom Brady, at his stature and being one of the marquee players in the NFL, I think the league is trying to establish and set a precedent. Just because you're a big time player doesn't mean you're going to be absolved from something and you're not going to get preferential treatment. That's just my belief and opinion on this. That factors in. Now, Tom Brady has stated that. Okay, you may know that he had destroyed his cell phone fairly recently, and this could have perhaps had some kind of incriminating evidence on it. I'm not saying it does or doesn't, I'm just saying the possibility exists. However, his contention is that the cell phone, it was agreed that anything on the cell phone was not going to play a role in the decision, and it wasn't going to be such where he had to turn in his cell phone. So he's saying that that's not relevant. Well, maybe the commissioner made the decision based on that cell phone being destroyed without actually saying it. And I'm saying that's a possibility, that's speculation. But I think when you look at Tom Brady, his stature in the league, it definitely plays a role. Some people believe he's the face of the league, and perhaps that's attributed to him having 4 Super Bowl titles. Peyton Manning is no slouch either. An argument could be made that he's the face of the league, arguably the best regular season quarterback ever. Now, what's happening is that Tom Brady is going to bring this to a higher court, I believe a federal court, and he's going to see if he can get this either reduced or eradicated completely. And my feeling on this is that I don't think it's going to be able to get done. I feel that bringing this to federal court, I really think it's practically a waste of time. I think the reason he's really doing this is because he wants to defend his character to the end. Now, hopefully they'll expedite this sooner than later as far as getting this thing brought to the higher court and get the decision rendered. Now, I believe there's some kind of injunction that the Brady and company may be looking for, and I believe in this case that would be like a temporary removal of this decision. And let's say hypothetically that this case would drag on towards the end of the season, and if what happens is in federal court or whatever, if they ascertain that this decision has to remain the way it is, Tom Brady could perhaps lose those 4 games toward the end of the season, where it might be a more significant time for the Patriots in terms of perhaps playoff positioning or even games that may involve the postseason. I just think perhaps it would have been better to just let it lay and just deal with the decision for that reason. The first 4 games, the Patriots in the past have had like 4 or 5 seasons, I believe, where they've started like 2-2 and they wound up making the postseason. This season, if somehow this decision, if it remains the same and the federal court decides to keep it at the 4-game suspension and they make the ruling before the beginning of the regular season, then Tom Brady would miss the first 4 games. I really think that would be a lot more advantageous to the Patriots and Tom Brady, but we'll see how it all plays out. Now, the thing about this too is, if Tom Brady is guilty, I would say it taints his legacy, at least to some degree. People have seemed to make this somewhat minor. It seems like the average fan seems to think this is very minuscule. And probably comparatively speaking, this Deflategate thing may have been inflated, maybe blown a little bit out of proportion. I don't know though. It seems like it does have certain significance because you're talking about the ethics of a game. And Tom Brady, especially in any elite upper echelon athlete, is going to be held to a higher standard. And no matter who you are, you're going to be accountable for what you've done. And that's assuming he did this. Now, some people feel that there's no irrefutable evidence on this. I feel that, in my personal opinion, I feel he had to have some knowledge of this. I mean, he is the quarterback. He's involved in on really every offensive play. You had to have known something. I know maybe the difference in a deflated football compared to the inflated ones was somewhat minute in this, maybe in this instance. It just seems like he had to be cognizant of something in as far as this goes. Maybe there's some people that maybe are deluding themselves, and they're going through denial. They don't want to believe that the golden boy could be guilty of something. But it's just about opening the eyes, taking the blinders off, and seeing things, I think, for what they are. And don't get me wrong, Tom Brady's a really great athlete, great quarterback. He'd be an asset to any team. I don't think he's ever going to leave the Patriots. But if he were, I mean, he's obviously could be very beneficial to another football team. But we all reap what we sow and sow what we reap, and it doesn't matter who you are, and especially the way it works. A lot of times when you're a better athlete, people want to show that they're not going to get the preferential treatment, and they might even get a little higher penalty for what they do and face greater repercussions than the average athlete. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment for the Tom Brady, I guess we could say the decision as far as getting 4 games suspension, about it being upheld. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.